Is that on now? Are you sure? Okay, hiya. So, hello, this is my second YouTube video, and again, I've got a little bit of a script on my phone. So yeah, firstly, hiya. Can you please press the buttons and ring the bell and subscribe? Get that out of the way first. So, after finishing my first video the other day, my husband said that I had the phone the wrong way. So today we've got the phone the other way, and apparently I've just got to look at this little button here. But the other day, though, I could see myself, and so it was dead easy to see myself because I knew that you could see me. So anyway, I said to him, I said, because I've been talking about this YouTube for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I says to him, why didn't you tell me? And he said, well, you didn't ask. I'm at that stage now where I'm past wanting to wrap the tripod around his neck or clean the loo with his toothbrush. Anyway, he redeemed himself and he bought me, look at this, they're posh. The microphone, don't know how that's going to come up sounding, but anyway, I'm going to clip it on my dress. Do you like my dress? Got it on Vinted, I think it's £3 bargain. Hang on, I've talked quite a lot now. Isn't it hot today? So I bought this to fill up, and it's got it says 11 a.m, 12 p.m, 1 p.m, and all the times. And I think you're supposed to drink. I just keep on drinking it all the time. It's that hot. So yeah. Anyway, not yesterday, because I've not had the best few days, but that's for another day. I realised that I missed a massive trick, and that ideally I should have got in touch with Jasper Conran, Tesco's, and Asda's George, for some free products, so that I could sort of, what's the word? Recommend them, but I think I did that for free anyway. So, but what I did do is I said that bikini smelled really nice, so I'm going to put in a bit of a link below if I can work out how to do that for the craftersshop.co.uk, who are selling the washing liquid, laundry liquid that I've been using, and it does smell amazing. So I'm going to go right back to the start of my business, and this channel, which I think I've remembered now, is called My Body Sacked Me, or Sacked by My Body, something like that. Is going to be about loads of different things, but I want to go right back to the start when I started my first business back in 2000. First went online in 2006, but I'd started selling essential oils before that on eBay. And I was in a little group of people who cleaned with environmentally friendly cleaning products. Now, you see, the thing is, I had lots of experience of that because I was raised by elderly grandparents, and my grandma and granddad always cleaned with vinegar, bicarb. I don't ever remember borax back then, but there was no, so like he did a bit of gardening, my granddad, and there were no harsh chemicals wet on anything. He made his own sprays, and I'll go into that on another video. But anyway, people said, can you not start a website? And I'd not got a clue what I was doing. But I said, yeah, go on. So somebody built me a website, and I learned how to use that. You've got to bear in mind that I got really young children at this stage. In fact, there were 4 children at home. One of them, going back now, what year? 2000. One of them was born in 2003. So she was really tiny. She was a baby. So I decided to start this business called Summer Naturals, got a website, and I was the first little micro business ever to sell white vinegar online. Nobody else was selling it for cleaning. And so I started doing that, and I got loads of customers from it, but it was a very, very niche market. And I say loads of customers, it were enough customers for me to deal with and enough orders. And I worked from home. And I did that because I wanted to stay home with the baby. And I didn't want to be forced to go out to work. I wanted to take the kids to school in the morning. I wanted to pick my kids up from school. I'm not saying that I was altogether always present for them, because I was working really hard to get this business going and set up. And instead, fortunate, we had space at home and I could do that. And I think a lot of women, and even men, have found that their only option, because childcare's not, available, or childcare is poor, and a lot of childcare can be poor, because I trained to be a nursery nurse back in 1983, 1985. I qualified. Hang on, my page has gone off. So the business wasn't based on making money so much, or making a lot of money. It was based on making me a little income, and working around my children. So so I've finished now. I'm going to have to shut that because it says, got to use my brain now to ad-lib the rest. And then I've said, is it ad-lib? I've Googled and it is. But you can't always learn everything you read on Google these days, or see on YouTube or wherever. So yeah, I started that little business, and it didn't just sell environmentally friendly cleaning products. I also sold cosmetic ingredients. So what we now 2026, 20 years online selling cosmetic ingredients. So and so I've gathered quite a lot of experience over the years, and I've worked like soap makers, for instance. You know, I sold soap making ingredients. So on social media, I got to know a lot of people who like to make mostly cold processed soap. And that was that. So that business, I grew that little business on my own. Bill, my husband, was going out to work every day, so I was doing the kids and I was building a business on my own. And it was hard work and it was stressful. I mean, really stressful. But I was so, what's the word, keen to sort of have some of my own independence and everything, that, as long as I had a tiny little wage, I weren't bothered. I mean, in the early days, I did think that, I'm going to have a BMW in no time. I've still got a crappy car out on the drive now, but as the years went on, doing all this, and sort of, I had to cook meals as well and feed the kids, and sometimes, I might just burn the chips because I go put something in the oven, completely forget about it. But apparently that's my ADHD. But again, that's for another video. So I carried on and carried on, and in 2009, my husband decided that he didn't want it to do his job anymore, which was fine. He was a gas engineer, quite a lot of pressure on him, very clever man. And somebody, a lovely lady who's no longer with us anymore, gone too young, asked, after seeing me making soap in a soap mould that Phil had made for me, if he could make her one, and he liked the challenge. So he made this fantastic soap mould, and she gave us all the dimensions she wanted, and she she wanted a lot. And it was launched, and it was called the Jocelyn mould. And from that, I built him a business so that he could make soap molds, because he was really fantastic at it. And so back in 2000, I'd say back in 2010, we started making bath bomb molds, plastic bath bomb molds. Might have been 2011 actually. But we were one of the first companies out there to be making bath bomb molds. A company that had been out there quite a lot longer than us was a lovely man called Denny. And I think his business was called Denny Craft Molds. And then he got poorly, and we wanted to do something different to him. and we had a lot of that was a really good business, and I did all the admin for it. Phil made everything, and he did soap cutters, and he did really good engineered soap cutters, really good quality. Do you know what it's that? Today I'm melting. Oh, this didn't I'll have a drink. Hang on. If I start sweating badly now, I have to ring my skirt up and oh. So yeah, so we did the mould shop, and we had got customers asking us, can we do this? Can you make this? Can you make this size? Can you make that size? And then came the silicone liner, and we did loads, and it was quite a successful business, but it involved cutting massive pieces of wood. You know, Phil's 64 now, and his back's never been good, so we decided in, I think, 2008. So also on the mould shop, we were also selling some cosmetic ingredients, fragrance oils, micas and things like that. It weren't just mould. In 2018, he decided he wasn't going to be working anymore, apart from to just do the plastic moulds, and went on to do bath bomb trays and everything. And I started a new website called The Crafters Shop, and at first it had it did have some moulds on it. It'd not finished at that stage, actually, carried on a little bit longer. And we built that up and built that up and built that up, got some staff. And then a lot of people, different companies, new companies, started coming into the market. And I had an idea, because I kind of felt that childcare for a lot of parents is hard work. It's impossible, and they rely on grandparents, or they would rely on somebody else. And if they have not got that sort of extended family, they can't get out and work. And a lot of people want to work. A lot more people want to work, I think, than are able. So I decided, I had this idea that I wanted to start working with a cosmetic chemist, and I'd had this idea and this concept. What I didn't know at the same time, another company. Hang on a minute, I'm sweating like mad. Let me get one of these serviettes. I hope all dye don't come off of my face. I can get 30 degrees today, which is ridiculous, isn't it? So I'd had a similar idea and was ready to launch the first product, which was bath bombs. And I'm so glad now that I didn't launch bath bombs, because I've been making bath bombs for years, 20 years plus, but to get a really good bath bomb that was like marketable within an assessment, I found was quite difficult. And I was dead lucky, because I worked with some really experienced makers in the business, who sort of took the recipes, said, well, I think it needs a bit of this, it needs a bit of that, let's get rid of this, let's get rid of that. And we all were, it was really nice, really, because when you've got a group of people who can work together and support each other, I think that's really, really important. I'm going to stop there for a minute because I'm exhausted. So I've mentioned before that my husband said that I've got to have the camera the other way around. So now I can't see myself like I could yesterday. Might be able to see my reflection in back. But I can't see how many minutes I've done, and I didn't check the clock first. And if anybody can see behind me, I've got a new clock today for outside. Always wanted an outside clock. That's what else. Anyway, and I've completely forgot where we were up to. But oh yeah. So we launched the assessments. I did soap with the fragrances that I designed myself. So I'd been designing my own fragrances because I wanted to be unique. Because a lot of the fragrances out there are all, they've got different names, but they're the same fragrance. So I did these cosmetic safety assessments, did soap, did salts, did whatever. And I work with Scott now. Scott was a really good friend. And those who are in the industry will know what I'm talking about. Sadly, he's no longer here with us. Miss him dearly, like I do Jock. And that was good. And everything was nice and lovely. And the other company and I never had any issues at all. And then, like everything else, somebody else jumps in and wants to do it, which is fine. Business is business. But then it started to get really quite ugly and fierce for me, and my mental health deteriorated really, really badly. On top of that, 10 years ago, I'd had 2 hip replacements, and just bear with me 1 minute. My daughter wants to come in, which is fine, she can because she lives there. I'd had 2 hip replacements, and I was supposed to take 3 months off, but when you sort of running your own business, you can't just do that. So, and I got a blood clot as well in my lung. But 12 days after getting out of hospital, I was back at work. I had a little mobility scooter, crashed it into everything. 3 months later, I had a second hip replacement. 17 days I managed to get off that time, which I thought would good going. But so I've always grafted. I've always put everything into my business, as you do. But it's made me poorly. And you know, as you get older, I mean, I'm 60, as I said in another video, in the first video, I'm 60 this year. And physically, you're not as strong anymore. You can't be lifting up 25 kilo bags. And basically, the end of last year, and this is why I've called Sacked by My Body on Body Sammy, whatever, I can't remember. I had to stop work. And basically, it was because my mind and my body had just let me down. And I just wasn't in a position anymore just to go to work, to either think about it or anything. So, but there's other things that I think are really hard as a woman in business. Tiff, you can come in. Oh, she said no. You know, there's a lot of, I think it's hard for, and I'm mainly going to be talking about women's things. So for women in business, you know, when you've got children and you've got to work and you've put all that time and effort into it, to the stage where you absolutely just wipe yourself out. And that is more or less what I did. I just wiped myself out. So, and this has coincided as well with the lots and lots of businesses coming in doing the same thing, and I think it got saturated, and it got quite. I just feel like it got quite. It's toxic for me, and this is my opinion. You might not agree, but it started to get really toxic, and I'm not the kind of person that can cope with that. But I did deal with it quite a lot, and I think enough was enough. So. But when we had to start getting rid of staff, and I think it was things like the national insurance payments, you know, to Inland Revenue going up, that did nobody any help. And then cost of living and people just haven't got the money. And do you know what? I had a business survive, a niche market business survive 2008 and 2014, but 2025 was horrendous. But we're still going. We are still going, and we're desperately praying that things pick up, because if they don't pick up, I think it's impossible. And especially when you're paying a huge rent on a unit, you're paying huge overheads and everything. And I know some businesses have moved back home and everything, which, you know, they've been bigger businesses and they've worked so hard husband and wife teams maybe, and they've worked really, really hard and they've built up and done fantastic, amazing things. These are competitors. And you know what? It's been brilliant to see that people, everyday people who might not have started off being business people, because I certainly wasn't, have grafted so hard and got into the market and done their thing and worked so hard and made such a success of the business. And it's quite sad now and quite sickening when, I read about a business that's had to close. And there are a lot of them that are doing it at the minute. However, I would say that there are a lot of very genuine people out there within business who wouldn't dream of, running off of people's money and everything. And so I think, I don't know if there's some distrust, but I wish it had come back again. And I wish that all the businesses that are hanging on, and even the businesses that are doing well, continue to do so, and that everything can grow again. So I have no idea how long I've done now. I think I should shut up, really. But I'm going to come back another day. Like I say, I've had a bit of a rough week this week. As I said, mentioned my mental health's a bit pants at the minute, so I'm not always dealing with things or coping with things as well as I could do, but that's another story for another video. Hang on a minute, I'm just going to have to go and see how many minutes I've done, but it's not even turned on. Hang on. Hang on, because I'm supposed to do 11, but they didn't. Oh, where's the time gone? There's no time on it. Coming back. Do you know what? I like it the other way. I don't like looking at the back of a phone and all my dirty pots in sync. So I'm going to go now, and anybody's got any comments, if anybody wants to sort of mention how their businesses are going, please do so in the comments, and I will, if I get time, I'll have a look. Thank you to the people who commented on my first video, and I'm going to be doing another video. It might be tomorrow, it might be at the weekend. I don't think there's any rush at the minute. And I do think that I'm like I said, I'm going to be covering menopause because I've done that. I'm going to talk about mental health. I'm going to talk about drinking too much alcohol. I'm going to be talking a lot of things because I think that sometimes it can be really difficult for a lot of people. So anyway, I'm going to go. Have a lovely evening. What time is it? Oh, I've got to remember, I've got to do the day and the time. I said I'd do this in every video, but I think it might be the 9th, but it might be the 8th of July 2026. It's now 7 p.m. So have a lovely evening, everybody, and I'll speak to you soon. Thank you. Let's talk to the seat. Oh, hang on. My bum's stuck. Oh. I've got to walk around here now and turn the bloody thing off. It's not going, but it's not recorded.